Today we are witnessing a fascinating clash of tech titans and sovereign states, and it's playing out in real time on the global stage. Brazil has recently taken bold steps to curb the influence of Elon Musk's social media platform, X, following a pattern that looks remarkably similar to China's well-known approach to digital sovereignty. This isn't just a fight over free speech or a single platform, it's about who controls the digital future. Brazil, one of the world's largest democracies, has been at the forefront of this issue. Its Supreme Court, led by Justice Alexander de Moraes, recently imposed a nationwide ban on X after the platform failed to comply with legal orders to suspend accounts spreading misinformation. This move echoes China's long-standing policy of stringent control over digital platforms within its borders, where companies must play by the government's rules or face severe consequences. The comparison is striking, and it raises a crucial question: why does Musk, who is famously vocal about government overreach, harshly criticize Brazil while remaining conspicuously silent on China? In today's video, we will explore this complex situation from several angles. We'll examine how Brazil's actions are mirroring China's model of digital sovereignty and why Musk's reaction, or lack thereof, differs so dramatically between these two nations. This is more than just a story about one man's struggle against government regulations. It's about the future of digital governance, the role of tech giants in global politics, and the delicate balance of power in a world increasingly dominated by online platforms. Stay with us as we unpack the layers of this geopolitical drama and consider what it means for the world at large. Let's start by understanding what digital sovereignty means and why it has become such a crucial issue in the global landscape. Digital sovereignty is the concept that a nation has the right to govern and control the digital activities within its borders. This includes everything from regulating online content and data flows to ensuring that the digital infrastructure aligns with national interests. In today's world, where information is power, digital sovereignty is about maintaining control over that power within the boundaries of the state. China has long been a master of this approach. Through its notorious Great Firewall, China has built a digital barrier that controls what its citizens can access online. Foreign platforms like Google, Facebook, and Twitter are outright banned, making way for homegrown alternatives like WeChat and Weibo, which operate under strict government oversight. The Chinese government ensures that the internet is not an open space but a closely monitored extension of its offline governance. Every online activity is tied to real-world identities through strict regulations that require real name registration for internet access, making anonymity virtually impossible. This allows the state to track and control digital behavior with the same rigor it applies to physical actions. Under President Xi Jinping, these efforts have only intensified. The state has expanded its reach over the digital domain, emphasizing that the party must maintain strict supervision over all internet activities. This approach not only safeguards the state from dissent but also ensures that the digital landscape serves the party's interests. The result is a controlled environment where the internet reinforces the state's authority rather than undermines it. Now, compare this to Brazil's recent actions under its Supreme Court, led by Justice Alexander de Moraes. Brazil has taken a page out of China's playbook by moving aggressively to regulate its digital space, particularly in its dealings with Elon Musk's social media platform, X. Following Musk's refusal to comply with Brazilian court orders to suspend certain accounts accused of spreading misinformation, the Supreme Court imposed a nationwide ban on X and even froze the bank accounts of Musk's satellite internet service, Starlink. These actions mirror China's approach in several ways. Like China, Brazil is asserting its right to control what happens within its digital borders, prioritizing national security and public order over the unrestricted flow of information. The Brazilian government's stance reflects a shift toward more assertive digital governance, where the state does not shy away from making bold moves to ensure compliance with its laws. However, the context is quite different. Brazil is a democracy, and these actions have sparked significant debate about the balance between state control and individual freedoms. While China's actions are often accepted as part of its authoritarian system, Brazil's move has been more controversial, drawing criticism both domestically and internationally. Critics argue that such measures could lead to judicial overreach and erode democratic principles, whereas supporters claim they are necessary to protect the integrity of the state. In essence, both China and Brazil are engaging in what can be described as digital sovereignty, but they are doing so in very different contexts. China's model is one of centralized, unchallenged control, whereas Brazil is navigating the complex waters of democratic governance and the rule of law. The question remains, will Brazil's approach lead to a more secure and controlled digital environment, or will it backfire, causing more harm than good? As we move forward, it's important to watch how these strategies unfold, not just in China and Brazil, but globally. The balance of power in the digital age is shifting, and how nations assert their sovereignty over the internet will shape the future of global governance. Both Brazil and China exert considerable control over internet platforms, justified in the name of national security, public order, and the fight against misinformation. For both nations, the internet is seen not just as a tool for communication but as a potential threat to political stability. This perspective is rooted in the understanding that digital platforms can amplify dissent, spread disinformation, and mobilize groups that might challenge the existing order. China's approach to digital sovereignty is systematic and deeply embedded in its governance model. Over the years, China has constructed an extensive framework, epitomized by the Great Firewall, to control and censor the internet. The Chinese government views the digital space as an extension of its physical borders, where the same rules and laws apply. Platforms like Google, Facebook, and Twitter have been banned for years, making way for domestic alternatives like WeChat and Weibo, which operate under the watchful eye of the state. Every user in China must register their real identity online, and anonymity is virtually non-existent. The Chinese government's approach is not just about censorship, it's about ensuring that the internet reinforces the Communist Party's control over the country. In contrast, Brazil's actions, while similar in their objectives, are more recent and reactionary. The Brazilian Supreme Court's decision to ban X, formerly Twitter, and freeze the accounts of Starlink came after the platform repeatedly failed to comply with local laws. These moves, while drastic, are part of Brazil's broader struggle to assert control over the digital space in response to challenges like misinformation and political unrest. However, unlike China, Brazil operates within a democratic framework where such actions are heavily scrutinized both domestically and internationally. The Brazilian government must justify these measures as necessary to protect democracy, whereas in China, such justifications are rarely required. These differences are critical. China's authoritarian system allows for a more seamless integration of digital sovereignty into its overall governance strategy. The government can implement and enforce rules with little opposition, framing them as necessary for national security and social harmony. In Brazil, however, such measures spark significant debate. Critics argue that these actions could lead to judicial overreach and threaten the very democratic principles they claim to protect. In essence, while both countries seek to control the internet within their borders, China's approach is a long-standing, deeply institutionalized strategy, whereas Brazil's actions are more ad hoc, driven by immediate political and social challenges. The global implications of these differing approaches are profound, as they reflect broader trends in how states seek to manage and control the digital realm in an increasingly interconnected world. Elon Musk's approach to Brazil and China showcases a stark contrast that reflects the complexities of global business and geopolitics. In the case of Brazil, Musk has been openly critical, labeling the country's actions as dictatorial after the Brazilian Supreme Court imposed a ban on his social media platform, X, and froze the accounts of his satellite company, Starlink. Musk's vocal opposition can be attributed to several factors, including Brazil's smaller market size and a political climate where public disputes can be more freely aired without jeopardizing his core business interests. Brazil, while a significant market for X, does not hold the same strategic importance for Musk's broader business empire as China does. In contrast, Musk has maintained a notably cautious stance regarding China, despite the country's stringent control over digital platforms and its often controversial policies. This silence is not accidental. China is Tesla's largest market outside the United States and a crucial manufacturing hub. Tesla's Gigafactory in Shanghai is a cornerstone of the company's global production strategy, and any disruption in this relationship could have serious repercussions for Tesla's operations and profitability. Furthermore, China's government has shown a willingness to work with Tesla, providing critical regulatory approvals that allow Tesla to operate more freely than many other foreign companies. This symbiotic relationship between Tesla and the Chinese state highlights why Musk might avoid criticizing China publicly. The stakes are simply too high. Alienating Chinese authorities could lead to significant business risks, including restrictions on Tesla's operations or market access. The implications for Musk's public image are significant. His differing reactions to Brazil and China can be perceived as a double standard, where economic interests outweigh his stated principles of free speech and opposition to government overreach. This has not gone unnoticed by the public and investors alike, raising questions about the consistency of his leadership and the values he purports to champion. While some may view his approach as pragmatic, others might see it as a compromise that undermines his credibility on the global stage. As Musk continues to navigate these geopolitical waters, the delicate balance between his business interests and his public persona will remain under scrutiny, potentially shaping not only his reputation but also the future of the companies he leads. As we've explored today, both Brazil and China are asserting their digital sovereignty, albeit through different means and in different contexts. China's systematic, long-standing approach contrasts with Brazil's more recent and reactionary measures. In both cases, however, the underlying message is clear: governments are increasingly unwilling to allow tech giants to operate without strict oversight. Elon Musk's differing responses, outspoken criticism of Brazil versus cautious silence on China, reflect the complex balancing act multinational corporations must perform when navigating diverse political environments. This situation highlights the growing challenge for global digital governance. As countries assert their rights to control digital spaces, companies like Tesla and X will need to adapt, balancing their business interests with the local legal and political landscapes. Musk's actions, and the responses they provoke, underscore the delicate interplay between economic power and political authority in today's interconnected world. As we close, I encourage you to consider, is Brazil justified in its stringent actions against Musk's platforms? How should Musk respond to similar challenges in other countries? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insights are invaluable as we navigate these complex issues together.